most definitely. Like my coach will tell you a specific day where I had a bad race or a bad workout like the previous week, and I was so frustrated and mad by it, and I knew I was capable of more. And so I walked into practice on like a Saturday, and he's like, like, new week, Sarah, like, come on, like, let's do this. And he's like, how are you feeling today? And I was like, I'm ready to run till I throw up. Like, that's just all I said. Like, that's all I wanted. Like, I just wanted to work so hard that I knew with certainty that I was putting money in the bank, and my coaches will, like, my biggest downfall was that I was too willing to work that hard to the point that I would injure myself constantly. And not like constantly where it's like small little, like, oh, small new injury. It was like I would get overuse injuries where I'd be, and this is a whole other massive part of my story, but like stress fracturing my femur. And your femur is your massive thigh bone, biggest bone in your whole body. And a stress fracture is a deterioration of the bone from the inside out that leads to a crack. And so my biggest bone in my whole body, right before my first Olympics, I had trained so hard, pushed myself day in, day out with not enough recovery, with not enough awareness that more is not always better. And I didn't see that. And so I pushed too hard, too often, and ended up cracking my femur, which is a feat.
Going through those injuries, did you kind of feel defeated in a way where I worked so hard and now it's over? Or for that time being, it's over for a while?
Yeah, I was very defeated because, as I mentioned at the beginning, I wasn't good at any other sport. So this was my whole definition of myself. This is why, like, who I identified as, what people expected of me. It's like why I thought people liked me. And so I felt like I need to make this happen. And when the doctor said, like, hey, no more training, I felt like I watched this thing I had been pursuing and striving towards for 8 years just evaporate in front of my eyes. And of course, like, at the time of us filming this, it is in the thick of coronavirus. And I have no doubt there are so many people who were pursuing things and, had been working years and years and years. And, he finally got that dream job. And then in what seems like overnight, the world comes to like a halt and changes everything. And you like lose that position, your like role completely changes, that thing you thought you could do, you no longer can because of all the limitations and restrictions. And like, it's a really defeating place to be in. And I think that was the hardest thing for me to get over, because I went to sleep that very first night of learning of the stress fracture and finding out I had to sit out for 3 months, just crying myself to sleep because I felt like I watched this dream slip away, and like, what a waste. And do I walk away now? Because it will be a lot easier than keeping going and missing the Olympics and like not qualifying. And so I wanted to give up in that moment, absolutely. But the next morning, I like, for whatever reason, like had a spark of inspiration. And I went to my physiotherapist, talked about how we could stay fit, how we could stay motivated, what were the things we could do to stay within reach of the goal that would allow me to like possibly stay close enough that when I was cleared to run, I could get back on and like maybe this was still possible. And that 3 months was a roller coaster ride. And it was every night crying myself to sleep, and moments of inspiration, just like that first night, but a lot of moments of being like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? I'm only getting worse. I'm not getting better. I had to run a whole second faster than I had ever run in order to qualify. And in the sport of track and field, a whole second is a very long time, as people will know, that like it's won and lost by milliseconds. And so I sat out for 3 months, went to see the doctor. He was like, no, sorry, not healed. Come back in another month. I was like, dude, are you serious? And that 4th month turned into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. And on my first day back to training, I got the word believe tattooed onto my wrist. And I said, when I make the Olympic Games, I'm going to put the Olympic rings underneath here. Like, super bold move. Don't suggest everyone tattoo themselves with their goals, but needed to make sure that I like had this word of reminder, like, this is why you're strong. This is why you can get back up. And as silly as it sounds, like, I now know the power of believing in myself, because 6 months later, I won the Olympic trials, went to the Olympic Games, and finished as an Olympic semifinalist and one of the youngest competitors in the field. And so I came home and I finished that Olympic tattoo and I put the Olympic rings underneath the believe exactly where I said I would. And blew my own mind. It was like, holy moly, like believing in yourself works. Why does no one tell you that? And of course we hear it all the time, but we think it's for children and we think it's for people who have their head in the clouds. We don't think it's for people like you and I, like not people who understand reality. And I now know that it's like believing in yourself doesn't just mean walking in the door and being like, okay, I got this. I believe in myself. But it means being brave enough to have a really big vision, like really scary, really out there. And then knowing you're going to face challenges, but have the grit to keep going anyways. And then have the resilience that once those challenges show up, that you're willing to overcome every single obstacle on that path, because that's what resilience means, like being willing to overcome every obstacle on that path. And so ultimately believing in yourself is having that vision, grit, and resilience packaged up together. And that's what enables you to achieve that big goal. And that's what allowed me to do it.
I think we all have to, some of us have that mentality where we know that if we want to get to that end goal or that big goal that we have, we're going to go through every challenge and obstacle that's in our way, and nothing to stop us. Athletes, even CEOs, big business entrepreneurs, they all go through those similar situations where they have to battle and dig deep in themselves to get to where they want to be. And when they get to the top, they're so happy of what they're able to accomplish, and people are inspired by those paths that they take. When you were going to, or when you made it to the Olympics, what was going through your mind?
I mean, immediately following the race, I was, as I described earlier, so full of lactic acid that I was so lightheaded and delusional, and honestly, like, couldn't tell you which way was forward. And I didn't know if I was gonna like die or throw up or like be alive. And so I just crawled over to this grass patch. My siblings, who I love, are in the stands. They come running down. They're like hanging over the fence. They're like, "Oh my God, you did it! Oh my God!" And I'm looking up at them like a newborn baby. Like I must have like the glossiest eyes. Like I have no idea what's happening in the world. And I'm like, "This is the best day of my whole life. This is the best day of my whole life." Like it was just this like incredible weight. Like it was like carrying around this like backpack full of bricks. Like, you've got to make the Olympics. You need to make the Olympics. You're only worthy if you make the Olympics. And then it was like someone came and just slit the bottom of that bag. All of the bricks fell out. And I was just like living my best life, being like, this is amazing. And it was, yeah, pure elation. Like, just like so surreal. Like, oh my God, I'm going to the Olympics. Like, what is happening? And I think it had just been my focus for so long that night I actually remember finishing the like cooling down, getting treatment by my massage therapist. And then it's like we had a ceremony the next morning where they like inducted us into the team and whatever. So I just like went back to our hotel, and my partner and I at the time were like, what do we do to celebrate? Like, I actually don't know how to respond in this moment. And we were like, let's get pizza. Like, and I just remember like us sitting there eating pizza being like, this is it, I guess. Like, we did it. Like, this is so weird that there's no more pursuit. Like, we're just like, okay, and of course there was like, okay, now what can we do at the Olympics? But certainly we had reached a checkpoint that was a really big deal. And it was just like the weirdest night where I was like, I don't know, I didn't think about beyond this moment. Like, how does one celebrate?
Yeah.